Sheila here with Sirius Dallas Moon. And this is where fourth or fifth energy reading part. And this is where somebody should not have messed with someone that has Uranus in the 10th. I know I have Uranus in the 10th. I saw it. Even the slightest type of trying to manage me, even in the most benevolent way, doesn't work. My mother had to explain, when I was a child, my mother had to explain to teachers, with Shirley, the only thing that works, she's not a bad, she's not a misbehaving person. The only thing that works is explain rationally. If she did something that is genuinely not okay, explain what it is, why is it so. If she sees that rationale, you will never have to talk to her about this again. If is not rationale, you have zero chances of getting Shirley to comply with that, even if she wanted. Ever since she explained that to my teachers, suddenly I was their favorite student because they understood how to approach me. They would try to, if I would do something as a child, and I was a child, I don't know, if I would do something and they wanted to correct that, they would try to use paternalistic ways or authoritarian ways to correct that, not by being a tyrant, because this is what normally authority figures do. With me, it was impossible, and they thought I was a problematic kid until my mother explained that to them, and then they loved me. I was their favorite student. I was like, oh my God, she is so dedicated. She's such a good student. She's such a well-behaved. That was the difference. And I remember that when I felt that as a child, from feeling completely bombarded, not knowing what the fuck is wrong with everybody, to actually feeling okay. Now, these type of people, Uranus in the 10th, operate like that. They're not compatible for handlers, bosses that think in authoritarian way. People that think that, oh, you should be in Israel there's the word like Dil Rosh. Okay, you should be thinking big and so on and so forth. Well, my thinking big is not your thinking big, and watch what you wish for. If you, okay, watch what you wish for if you want the Uranus in the 10th in Nakshatra next on Taurus to think big. Okay, that was what I was doing at the meet. It was right in the Saturn. I only this year learned the symbol I used was the IDF. I was thinking big. I was doing like Dil Rosh. If there is issue of sex trafficking in academia, all departments under branding that says innovation should come up with ways to tackle this issue. So it's no longer any type of trafficking, not on the invisible level, not on the visible level, not on what I now know is called esoteric level. Is it an issue of transference? Is it an issue of this? Is it an issue? Okay, all of these solutions must be applied. And that's how Uranus in the 10th works. Now, me, I have Uranus 2 degrees away from Antares. So this is a Uranus. Okay, it's a big Uranus. It's, it's not for nothing that I was called on to look at NATO's chart, for example, and with the people that are involved in Davos. So, and people need to read. So, and what I'm getting, a lot of the people, they already know that about this person. And so they just need to remind themselves, wait a second, this is how this person is. They don't work with handlers, they don't work with managers, they don't work with people that try to mind control them. They kick that away from them. But they're not irrational. It's just that you can't do gaslighting, blame shit, and this doesn't work with them. Trying to force them into a this, a that, and that is the worst way possible to deal with them, is to try to make them comply with authority, but the authority hasn't proven itself that it is compatible with the Uranus tent. Now we have to think about that Uranus tent in Sagittarius is sidereally, in many cases, Uranus Scorpio, which means that what they are revolutionizing is exactly zero rape, zero slavery, zero energy siphoning. And the use of even esoteric astrology and dark occult to do that, or scientific technologies to do that on invisible or interface. Bless you. My mom sneezed. My mom sneezed. Okay, that's a tautology. The people that like everything under control, to bend the nature, to bend the this, to mold the people, the Uranus tent is, how should I say that? Is the worst nightmare. And not because they try to be anybody's worst nightmare, but those are the people that are going to have the most difficult with the Uranus tent. And the Uranus tent will Uranus tent. Okay? I was doing Galileo when the new Pope was erected. People out there doing the devil were like, only a clone could interpret the Pope. I'm like, no, darling. That's just your Uranus tent. And although it does move, okay, then the only approach to Uranus tent is with zero authoritarian, zero attempt to control or maneuver the actions. It calls for authenticity with everyone. And definitely not to try to suppress that person, because Uranus, wherever we have Uranus, we can't suppress ourselves. Okay, when was the Me Too with Uranus Aries? When people like me were speaking before the Me Too, we thought we were going to die, but we would also die if we wouldn't speak. People are afraid about this Neptune in Aries. But the Uranus stance are the people that, we, how should I say it? The worst thing is to try to, because when you try to suppress or bind or whatnot, that Uranus, it goes boom like a hydrogen bomb. And it's not even about an ego thing, like you won't tell me what to do, you want this, you want that. Not even. It's something that doesn't align on an energy level. It's like an earthquake, or go combust, boom. It's like an earthquake and a volcano going combust with a tsunami and uh, everything. But not as a ritual to bring in the dark occult, but as a natural, authentic, voluntary kicking off of the dark occult. Yeah, away! Chamech! And it's a compounding effect. Now, the Uranus Sagittarius, first of all, the Uranus Scorpios, the late Uranus Scorpios are finishing their Uranus opposition. The Uranus Sagittarius are ingressing into the Uranus opposition sign, which is 7 years. The Uranus opposition, yes, it's in the midlife crisis, but the entire sign is around 7 years. And they are embarking into their Uranus opposition. Also, the Uranus squares, I was talking about Baron Trump. Okay? People entering their Uranus transits are not to be repressed or subdued, but here is the thing. Let's say the people that have Uranus in fine aspects with uh, Pluto, how should I say that? Very, very tenderly. Um, they may have the ability to control cows until they meet a Uranus tent. And the more they try to practice that on a Uranus tent, they going down, 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 and the bunker is boom. Okay, in the bunker, boom. Okay, that's the level of trying at a Uranus tent. It's kind of like these are the people not to mess with to begin with. Don't cry about, oh, don't answer me, oh, don't this, oh, don't reply me, oh, but I said this, oh, that, oh, the gaslighting here, or the gaslighting there. None of that works. It is compounding, megalithic, exponential boom. Lilith is about to meet that Uranus, by the way. She's, she's a degree away from my Uranus. It shows. um, I would need to look at the cycles of once. When was the last time Black Moon Lilith went over my Uranus and what happened? Um, that requires a study. And my Uranus square was exposed to astrology. Uranus over my ascendant, I think I began to look at mundane astrology, but before I began to practice astrology, and Uranus Aries, the big satire, sugar-free lemonade. Um, and yeah, the more people try to suppress this Uranian energy, really the worse it went for them. You want to think about, you remember the slut shaming, the slut walks, okay? Remember the women that were wearing hardly anything with on their body written, "No, I'm still not asking for it." That's the Uranus tent. And when a Uranus tent strikes, it is compounding profound. It looks like compounding profound evil, but it's not. It's the purgatory of the return to sender of all evils from the moment of conception. Sidereally, my Uranus is 18 degrees, Scorpio. Like, I'm absolutely a fine person, but one does not want to be evil with me, let's say. And those that have been, it usually have. Now with Uranus, it's not this predictive. You think about Saturn or Mars in Saturn sign, you think about this predictive, strategic, and so on. And no, it's like boom, and it can be the worst thing ever. And the Uranus person is kind of like, okay, I didn't think anybody listens to me. Like, my no was not honored. So what were they thinking that would happen? So this is um, another thing I see here where people may have neglected the fact that somebody is a Uranus tent. And that their type of evil, it's not a strike back evil, it's a liberate from evil. And it's not a strategic, methodical type of evil. It's a burst of purgatory. Okay? But if the Uranus stands get to be themselves, express themselves, and so on, yeah, it may be creating controversies. But the more we allow the Uranus the space to be, basically, the less harm people are going to face around this Uranus person. Like there was, I was doing a channeling experiment. There was somebody who was like, "Sheila, you just targeted a weapon company." And I'm like, well, if they think that they are going to target individuals, not be transparent when they say, "Oh, I can help you to end that targeting," then they are going to face the full compound effect of them leaving individuals without protection from trafficking, torture, and trying to sell something to people that lost their ability to work because of, very likely, their endeavors. Okay, that's a Uranus stand. It's like that's a weapon. It's like that was a weapon company. I think about in the north. I don't know the chart of this lady. In northern Israel, there was a lot of protection. By protection. Somebody put that bottles. They would put like a bottle with, I don't know, oil in it, and people had to find like to whom to pay. They put it in some lady's business. This lady took this bottle, went to the center of the city, and said, "No more of that goddamn protection." Now this organized crime, nada, no more of that protection. No more of that targeting individuals and asking them to pay money. Everybody joined her. Everybody joined her. There was a big, big mess because people had had enough of these protection scams. They had had enough of organized crime. There was one lady taking out bottom saying, "Enough of that!" Okay, so you had a snippet of the energy or that type of energy. It's like it seems like the most irrational thing in the world. But that's exactly that compounding effect of that the pressure cooker is kind of like it hits a Uranus stand, boom. And when people try to capitalize on that energy, like RS, kill the rapists. Then because it's Uranus, it's gonna dedicate that to its own egregore. It's gonna own the energy. Okay? Like I said, this is how psychiatrists get slaughtered. They try to gaslight, try to medical gaslight a Uranus stand. They're gonna go away. They got like Uranus wants space. The first act of Uranus is to remove themselves from the space if they have a space to go to. They better have a space to go to because if they are pushed to a corner, boom, and it's like, oh my God, you slaughtered a psychiatrist. Okay, they were trying to inject me with stuff that would make me even more violent. It's irrational. Do you want that? And because that energy needs to be out of the body, it's kind of like these people better have the human rights or they better have their space, they better have the human rights. And then it can be amazing people. They're not good with schedules. They're not good with um, any place that requires a very structured. system. Not compatible. If you put these people in whether it's a hospital or prison or whatnot, they're going to start a revolution. It's an energy that needs to. And here's the thing: everybody's going to join them because the spark. Uranus is an outer planet. It's a generational planet, so it's a revolutionary energy. And Uranus also is ruling suicide. So these are the people that are exploding. It's like a suicide bomber. I'm not saying these people are. Lilith is now in the 11th, but I'm not saying these people are suicide bombers. But this is, Uranus 11th degree can be a suicide bomber. I'm not Uranus 11th degree for anybody. Blood pressure can go down. Um, but also these are the type of people when they get, you can feel my energy, right? How does that energy feels? Does it feel like I'm sitting in a quarter of a meter or in a quarter of a meter room, or does it feel like I'm sitting someplace where that energy is having the space? Also I think about it like when it comes to housing, it's not a person for an apartment. Now that person might be thinking rationally, yeah, what do I need? A bed in a hostel is enough as long as nobody bothers me. But what if there's a pedo next door? This is a real story. In COVID, in between houses, I said, okay, I was willing to pay something the equivalent of $2,000 for a bed in hostel because I was like, I'm working on my business. And I was willing to pay money to not have to deal with looking for an apartment and all these things that were like in my way. Although I had around the fourth house, and next to me was a pedophile. He was holding these things that you play on the beach, and he would play with children in the park. And it's literally telling me that. And then one guy tried to harass me, and that was that. Like, boom. If somebody tries to control or handles the Uranus 10th revolution, they are like they are building for a letdown. Um, but here is the upside. If somebody tries to get the Uranus 10 to murder, no, 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 no. It's still trying to control them. I had cases somebody was threatening my life, and I'm like, I'm not making you a murderer. Bye, like that. And so when this Uranus placement requires space, for example, Uranus is going to go into my fourth house. Now, as I'm recording, I'm thinking with you, which is another Uranian trait. um, and and here's the thing: at any case, the Uranus placement has to have the space to be. So where the people are here that okay, that person they don't come here, amazing, they need to have the place to be. Now Uranus is going to go into my fourth house. Fourth house is housing and motherland. Now it's Gemini, so I got two, not housing, motherlands. Okay, when Rahu was returning, I was basically escaping to Netherlands, trying to find some sort of housing. Now Uranus is gonna go over that placement. Basically, we had Jupiter going through Gemini, we had Mars going through Gemini, Saturn is in Gemini, and now Uranus. And here's the thing, Gemini is very good for a mobile house. I don't have a driving license. Okay, NATO has Uranus in my fourth house, and is usually when I was reading the cookbook astrology, it was like, oh, that synastry is good for like nomadic lifestyle. I don't have a driving license. I'm like completely lost and compounded. Now Uranus is also unusual solutions, which I believe when the landlord or realtor was literally trying to traffic me in their apartment, I'm like, well, I guess that me sleeping in that apartment was the 12th house of this person who had a family that lived there. So I was basically triggering their 12th house, which is unconscious, um, mental health, but also like bedroom. And they may have um, tackled that in a certain way. Like the guy was trying to traffic me. And I was trying to find like a reasonable astrological, maybe feng shui solution. And I'm like, well, it looks like I need my own house because if there is a landlord, he will experience that in his 12th house or her 12th house. And it seems like, okay, well, I can have a house like built of mud and lime wash. Like, I just need me a simple house. Oh, those things were banned so that people will pay money. But that's exactly why I don't make able I'm not able to make an income, because when I think about making an income, I think about what are the things that I will be investing in, and through that I have both the pricing, how much I need to ask for my services, and the ideas, because let's say, I don't know, I want to build half moons and then a house of stone and have water coming from the air and so on and so forth. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe I could get these stones. Maybe if I find some precious stones, I can make jewelry out of them. Or maybe I can, a sidekick can be mining. Okay, so the job is next to what I want to invest in, or how I want to, which is basically how we're supposed to be looking for, whether it's a job or an income, or kind of like making a life while making a living in a way that actually supports us. Um, doesn't work with enslaving humanity agendas. And trying to scam the Uranus is gonna end up like that Uranus never signed an, like, Uranus is so well aware. Human rights for the Uranus placement. Think. I want everybody to think about their Uranus placement. Uranus placements. Human rights for them is like fresh air. I remember one of my first jobs was McDonald's, and I was vegetarian because I did not know about being vegan. And I'm not vegan today, but I try to eat from, like, I don't know, the red fruits and I don't know, whatever growing, and then whatever mom cooks. So fruit freedom, I don't know. But back then there was a lady ordered a Big Mac, and it was kind of stinky, and she said it smells like a dead animal. And I look at her, and I look at her, and I'm like, well. Somehow I managed to work 4.5 years in that place. Then I work for a credit card company. I don't hold the credit card. We would get that for free. I don't hold the credit card. Like, why do I need a credit? Why does anybody need a credit card? Employee of the year. um, Now, and here's the people that try to deny food from people. What do they think they're going to happen? I'm not even going to talk about the water. In the Me Too, we had Sylvan Shalom, and he had a scandal, Epstein-like, and his Missy said about 11 women that were raped by him. Okay, she said they are drinking his blood, and I said, well, the people that think that they are going to prevent access to water, what do they expect people to drink? So, but also if someone is raped, it's very likely that they will pollute the water because people that were raped sometimes cannot even eat or drink. Um, and think about the Nordic people, like the Vikings. They were sacrificing virgins. What do you think will happen to people that do these practices on colonialism o'clock, meeting the fate of the woman? Um, More things that I can say. Yeah, this is pretty much. This is pretty much what I can think about. I think a lot of the Gen Zers had Uranus in its home sign Aquarius, and they had Pluto in Sag. This is why a lot of them are so Gen Zers. So you want to think about the Uranus stand as the closest approximate. Um, is it scary? Yes. Are you scared? Probably. What do you mean, probably? Oh, Uranus is also detachment. So, yeah, that's the spirit of the times. I wonder why all these things arrive right now. Probably because Lilith is about to conjoin my Uranus tent. And also because Uranus is going through the degrees it went retrograde. Okay, it's proceeding on towards the ingress to Gemini. Um, Particularly the people are Pisces ascendant. Like, how should I say it? If you're Pisces ascendant and you did done something wrong, like, I don't know, sacrificed or whatnot, um, just know that they're gonna know. If you're Pisces ascendant and you were the target of those wrong things, then just know that they're gonna know. um, to people um, that have Pisces ascendant, they have Uranus in going through the fourth when it ingresses to Gemini, or people that are Aquarius ascendant and have Uranus through the fourth right now. This is where all the secrets come to the air regarding the lineage, the housing, the motherland. Um, yeah, I have thinking about. I have Lada Doncheva. I think is ascendant Aquarius. She's Aries soul, and all these things coming around about Bulgaria, because Bulgaria is really high on the news. Um, there was a change in regime there, I think, recently, or attempted. There was a Gen Z revolution there. Um, and she has a Uranus in her fourth house, going through a fourth house. Um, then there's Colorado, there's the mass shootings and MK Ultra, and how MK Ultra was associated with the mass shootings. And we have an astrologer from Colorado, Denver. Um, and the people have fourth house Aquarius, which is a permanent ouchie now with Pluto. This is like all their deep, buried taboos and secrets are slowly unfolding in a almost predicted, um, gloomy, designated way that they can't actually stop. So the best thing would be is like to understand that that's what's gonna happen. Um, Adolf Hitler had Pluto in my fourth house. And I had to deal with the reason that my lineage was wiped out the planet may have had to do with um, sexual boundary violation in such a way that it would have been better to have a disconnect with the entire lineage and ancestry than to continue the tradition. That's Pluto. That's a Pluto in the fourth house, even in a synastry, because basically the synastry that I have with Adolf Hitler. Um, Uranus in the fourth, basically, Uranus went over my Chiron. Basically, I had to escape an apartment and left my family pictures there. In the family pictures, one would see my mom, me, dad, and dad. And it was never a secret, but because the society is weird, one person could not have children with my mom. That's it. Karmic. By the way, they have karmic rope. All of us have karmic rope. All of us have a karmic rope with the moon, so, which affects fertility, housing, and ideas. Um, okay, so it's kind of like Uranus was going over my Chiron, and in the sign of Gemini, which is picture, family picture. Who's your father? Well, I live with my mom. That's a Uranus stand. Why couldn't your original parents have children? Well, maybe something to do with ritual abuse. I don't know. Um, but is he the father? Yeah, acknowledge me when it came to in Netherlands. There is divorce. There is marriage where we acknowledge the children, and marriage where we don't acknowledge the children. This was marriage that was the children were acknowledged. Um, and yeah, it was kind of like boom. I had to leave the place. I was astrally raped. I couldn't go. One time I went and then I saw the dead cat that they slaughtered and made a heart of his blood. And so I tried to take whatever and probably not even taking the most important things. And just that's it. I could no longer be there anymore. Um, and then that picture came out. Okay, so think about Uranus in the fourth house. With this one is around Chiron, but Uranus in the fourth house and all those deep buried secrets is that it's like it wasn't a secret within the family, but it wasn't something we just went out and said to a Jewish community, yeah, yes, and by the way, he's Dutch. But they thought my father was from the UN because he served in NATO. And then when my parents bought a car, at first my father had a driving license, so he was not an Israeli resident yet. And they had a weird card. By the way, when I was traveling Europe with my mom, we bought a car in Altenkirchen. We had the same problem. But there they thought my father was from the UN and it was after 73. So so they thought our weird car plate is to do with that. That was not a nice time to be around. um, now the wonderful thing about Uranus going through your fourth, you're gonna talk about it anyway. It's like anyway they're gonna know. So it can be also very liberating. It's kind of like it's out. It's out. It's out. It is out. Um, but anybody going through a Uranus transit in their fourth house, absolutely not compatible with landlords. Okay, now it can be scary because like I'm gonna have a house. I don't have. And the ruler is in my second house of incomes. Like I can't work. And it's Uranus. You can't oppress Uranus. I was like, well, at least I can't actually be oppressed. I'm going to explode on everybody. What are you going to do? But the ruler is co-president with Neptune. It's like even when it comes to like, oh, I'm going to analyze. I don't know. I mean, I don't never had access to that. And I don't know what's going to happen. um, by the way, there was a funny. When I was digging the half moons, the neighbors were eating watermelon on Israeli Independence Day. Now, I know watermelon was associated with Palestine, but they were eating that on Israeli Independence Day. And then we came to dig the half moon and they wanted to plant the seeds of the watermelon. So, this was a very funny Independence Day. Um, Probably not. And Netherlands wasn't having any lesser, funnier time. You think about, oh, you have two motherlands, so when one is in trouble, you can turn it on. No, it's double trouble. Shout out to Saskia. The double Dutch satire. This is almost to the level of sugar-free lemonade. It's like it's the equivalent of sugar-free lemonade, but in Dutch. The double Dutch. It's kind of like it's not, but I can't say it. Um, yeah. More things that I can think about. Those that are having Uranus going through their fourth house now is a bit more. I don't want to say more tragic. I mean, I'm gonna have a civil war. So it's like there's gonna be a civil war where okay, where is Gemini in your fourth house? There's gonna be a civil war in your house. I'll make some astrology talismans maybe to remediate that. Uh huh. By the way, my Uranus Sag is in the fourth house of Virgo ascendants. Definitely, it exposed some mistakes. It's like it's not rational to talk about it. It's not rational to laugh about it. It's not. It's liberating. It just happened. It's just like I already laughed about it. Um, we're not going to talk about the concept of free. Detru has Scorpio ascendant, Uranus, not Uranus, Aquarius, fourth house. We're talking about the Detru states. Um, and he owned the estates, and I have Uranus in his second house. And Uranus is going to transit his eighth house. So we're gonna know what was his passive income. Esoteric traditions. Um, not gonna address that. Not gonna address that. Um, what more interesting configurations? Yes, Uranus in the last decan of Taurus is the spirit and matter decan. Is the decan of Beta Persei. It is anybody that had a Beta Persei story in the house or the country. That's being exposed. Particularly, we talk about Aquarius ascendants here. Um, mm, 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 mm. And yeah, anybody knows famous Aquarius ascendants? Because those estates are going to be, they can either be exploding. For example, Netherlands 1800 chart had Moon next to Beta Persei, and when the Uranus was going through there, houses were exploding, and then churches were burning. Um, some of it next to my uncle, they like suddenly evacuate 40 estates, and he had this big old dog, like this Dutch dog, and the dogs were afraid, so he had to come back and pick them up. Fortunately, their house did not need to evacuate. Um, so, but that was very strange to me. It's like houses, and then houses began to explode in Israel as well. Before the missiles, there was like organized crime to do with it. But that was more associated with the last decan of Aries. Anyway, um, like I said, Uranus cannot be oppressed. Now, the Uranuses that square are the Uranus Pisces, the square Gemini, the Uranus Pisces, and the Uranus Virgo. The Uranus Virgo was co-present um, with Pluto. These folks that were born from the early 60s to the late 60s, they are going to, some of them are going to face the most difficult Uranus squares. Hey, they had some profound Uranus trines and Uranus sextiles. And where if they have been abusing power, the Uranus squares are going to set the record straight. Okay, Uranus Aries was squaring Pluto in transit during the Me Too. Okay, just uh, they need to control cows with this Virgo. Now, here's the quality that they do have. They are adaptable, but here they meet that from a square. They can't expect the Uranus without the Pluto, particularly not in Gemini, to be adaptable. It's not that they're not adaptable, it's that the way they are adaptable is in tension with the controlled chaos of the 60s. Any people that have a heart regulator, okay, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. They will need to redefine how they deal with the heart regulation issues because heart regulator technology is the technology that was developed with the chaos theory on the basis of the chaos theory that was booming and started in the 60s more how should I say it, the buzz of it started in the 60s. And because it was based on the ability to control chaos and probably around the Pluto sextile Uranus, there's going to be the heart regulators. I want these people, the people that have heart regulator, I want you to think about when did you get that heart regulator? What was the year? Where was Uranus? Where was Pluto? Is this transiting Uranus in Gemini squaring that because you could be experiencing irregulation issues with your heart regulator device? And you wouldn't know to locate that is simply the transit in Uranus. Um, a lot of systems, including weather systems, when we learn to control cows, they're going to run into unexpected results. Maybe I'm receiving they already are. Okay, I'm not informed of what are those. Um, but this is um, and I want you to think about another square is coming from the Uranus Sag people. So I want you to think about the millennial, with Uranus in Sag. It's the early millennials, the kind of like the early 80s until I don't know the late 80s, 18, maybe 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. Um, because those are the people you have already tackled some of these issues with. Now you're going to tackle it from the opposite direction. People that had the honor to know people with Uranus in Gemini and Uranus in Sagittarius. I'm a in his car. Okay. that is supposed to remind is remembering Erinnerung. Okay. Um, so yeah, more things to prepare for in the. Oh, and as per the Uranus Pisces, it is a square relations, which is genuinely quite difficult. Um, but you folks did not have Uranus like not even with Neptune. Many of you did not have even Uranus with Neptune. Um, it's the Uranus Pluto conjunction generation that is going to have the most difficult because they have either Saturn in their home sign. Most of them either have Saturn in their home sign or Saturn in Pisces, beginning to oppose that Uranus Pluto. So those are the folks that need to remember that a Uranus alone has no boss, has no God, has no handler, has no manager. And it's very difficult for Virgos because Virgos are competent at managing things and controlling things. Okay, it's not that they don't acknowledge um, the Virgo person. Is that these are the things that, like, they cannot have a boss, a handler, a um, person that manages them, an authority above them. Other than that, they're very rational, they're very civil, but they cannot have authority above them. Okay, it's and if it's going against the grain of the Virgoian or the Virgoian Uranus Pluto, just remember that you are an adaptable sign. But if you try to be an adaptable manager, it's the fact that you try to be a manager, however adaptable you are. Okay, so if you get that detail right and you just don't try to manage, it's going to be very difficult. You just don't try to manage, whether it's the Uranus Sag or the Uranus Gemini, then this is where um, you would get the most woo way with that Uranus, because that Uranus is not adaptable. It's adaptable to this. Here's the thing: those are mutable signs, but it's adaptable to the spirit of the changing times for the most authentic timeline for that Uranus. And ain't nobody and no one, including the Uranus person themselves, that can do anything about this. Okay? If you understand that, then you save yourself a lot of troubles and also a lot of unnecessary grudges, because it's not about it's not about your being incompetent as a manager or your being not adaptable as a manager or any of that sort. It's simply because these are not placements that can be managed. If you don't try to manage, that is the thing. And I know that the Virgoian, they care by managing others. That is not possible. This type of care is not possible for that out of Uranus there. And do not fool yourself to think otherwise. I cannot stress this enough. This is building yourself for such a big letdown. Because you're going to feel like you've been given everything to try to manage this person in the most profound, sensitive, attuned way, and they're still booming on you. And this is because you tried to manage them. It's nothing person. They can really, really like you. They can really appreciate you as a person. They can really connect with you. They can really think you're a competent manager, but they cannot be managed. It's true. The more trouble those people have, particularly those people, any people, but particularly those people I can think of astrologically, they can have a really challenging time with that. The best is to go as wu wei as possible with that Uranus, and not to think they will acquiesce to your direction, even if you think it's good for them. Okay. If this is a parent-child situation, or apprenticeship situation, or even teacher situations, where one would be expected to, like, learn first and then, this Uranus has its own thing. And it's not being disrespectful, it's just being. Once you get that about them, it's a very type of neurodivergence that is just like that, and that's it. Once you get that about them, you're going to have a way smoother path. There's still going to be a tension, but it's a tension you will both be able to address more rationally and allow more space to one another. Okay, I think that's it.